Good day everyone, let me introduce myself. I am Althea Gabion Ortego together with my partners Raynel Magadon and Shaira Corong. Today, we will be discussing the Presidential Decree Number 27, also known as the Emancipation of Tenants. So, this decree was issued on October 21, 1972 by former President Ferdinand Marcos. This decree aimed to promote social justice and rural development by granting land ownership to tenant farmers working on rice and corn lands. It sought to liberate farmers from the long history of landlord-tenant dependency and to give them a sense of dignity, productivity, and economic freedom. For the intended learning outcomes, we will narrate the prevailing problems in the land ownership prior to the enactment of Presidential Decree Number 27. Also, we will discuss some loopholes of Presidential Decree. The first topic that will be discussed by two reporters is all about salient features of Presidential Decree Number 27.
Good day everyone. The topic that I will be reporting today is lands covered by the decree, to be followed by size of land awarded to tenant farmer, and lastly, cost of the land. I am Raynel Y. Magadon from BSRT 1A Group 5, and I will be explaining what these topics mean, who are involved, and how they relate to land ownership and agricultural development in our country. The first is we have lands covered by the decree. So, according to this, is that this shall apply to tenant farmers of private agricultural lands primarily devoted to rice and corn under a system of sharecrop or lease tenancy, whether classified as landed state or not. So, this part explains what kinds of agricultural lands and farmers are included under the law. So it mainly applies to private farmlands that are primarily used for planting rice and corn and are being worked on by tenant farmers. So the farmers who do not own the land they cultivate. So there are two types that was mentioned earlier. These are the sharecrop system and the lease tenancy system. The sharecrop system, this is where the farmer and landowner share the harvest, while the lease tenancy system, this is where the farmer pays rent for using the land. So for example, let's say, si Mang Juan ay nagtatanim ng palay sa lupa na pag-aari ni Don Pedro. So, hindi pag-aari ni Mang Juan ang lupang sinasaka niya. He only uses it at ang kalahati ng kanyang ani ay binibigay niya kay Don Pedro bilang kabayaran. So, ibig sabihin, si Mang Juan ay isang tenant farmer lamang o magsasaka na nangungupahan o nakikigamit ng lupa para makapagtanim. At ang lupang sinasaka niya ay kabilang sa mga lupang sakop ng sistemang ito. Sa madaling salita, ang pulisiyang ito ay naglalayong protektahan ang mga magsasakang katulad ni Mang Juan upang mabigyan sila ng karapatan at patas na pagtrato sa lupang kanilang pinagtatrabahuan. This decree applies only whether the land is a large state or a small farm, as long as it is privately owned and planted mainly with rice and corn. And its main goal is to protect tenants farmers like Mang Juan and promote fairness in land ownership and food production. So next is we have size of the land awarded to tenant farmer. So it states here, or according to this that the tenant farmer, whether in land classified as landed state or not, shall be deemed owner of a portion constituting a family-sized farm of 5 hectares if not irrigated and 3 hectares if irrigated. In all cases, the landowner may retain an area of not more than 7 hectares if such landowners is cultivating such area or will now cultivate it. So para mas maliwanagan kayo, sabi dito, under this provision, each qualified tenant farmer has the right to own a portion of the land that they actually cultivate. So the size of the land awarded should not exceed 3 hectares if the land is irrigated, and not more than 5 hectares if it's not irrigated. On the other hand, ang may-ari ng lupa ay maaaring magtira o magpanatili ng hanggang 7 ektarya basta siya mismo ang magtatanim o mag-aalaga ng lupang iyon. So para mas maliwanagan kayo, sabi dito, under this provision, each qualified tenant farmer has the right to own a portion of the land that they actually cultivate. So the size of the land awarded should not exceed 3 hectares if the land is irrigated, and not more than 5 hectares if it's not irrigated. So in all cases, ang may-ari ng lupa o ang landowner ay maaari rin silang magtira o magpanatili ng hanggang 7 ektarya or 7 hectares basta siya mismo ang magtatanim o mag-aalaga ng lupang iyon. So for example, si Mang Juan ay nagsasaka sa lupa ni Don Pedro. So sa lupa ni Don Pedro, may 10 ektarya ang lupang iyon. So base sa batas, pwedeng ibigay kay Mang Juan ang 3 ektarya kung may patubig o 5 ektarya kung wala. So si Don Pedro naman, bilang may-ari, maaari rin siyang magtira ng hanggang 7 ektarya kung siya mismo magtatanim doon. So in other words, or in short, this rule ensures fair and balanced distribution of land so that every farmer receives a portion they can manage, sustain, and make productive. The last part for my topic is we have cost of the land. According to this, for the purpose of determining the cost of the land to be transferred to the tenant farmer pursuant to this decree, the value of the land shall be equivalent to 2.5 times the average harvest of 3 normal crop years immediately preceding the promulgation of this decree. The total cost of the land, including interest at the rate of 6% per annum, shall be paid by the tenant in 15 years of equal annual amortizations. In case of default, the amortization dues shall be paid by the farmer's cooperative right of recourse against him, in which the defaulting tenant farmer is a member, with the cooperative having a right to recourse against him. So, ibig sabihin lang nito, tinitingnan muna kung gaano karami ang karaniwang ani na magsasaka sa loob ng 3 taon. Tapos, doon ibinabase ang presyo ng lupa. Pagkatapos, ang kabuuang halaga ng lupa kasama ang 6% na interest bawat taon ay babayaran ng magsasaka sa loob ng 15 taon sa pamamagitan ng 15 pantay-pantay na bayad taon-taon o tinatawag nating annual amortization. So halimbawa, si Mang Juan ulit, sa loob ng 3 taon, ang karaniwang ani niya ay mahigit 20,000 bawat taon. So, kukunin ang average na ani, which is the 20,000, tapos imumultiply siya sa 2.5. Kaya lalabas na 50,000 ang halaga ng lupa na maaaring ipasa sa kanya. So, hindi niya kailangang bayaran ito ng buo agad. Babayaran niya ito hulugan sa loob ng 15 taon or 15 years kasama ang 6% na interest bawat taon. Kung sakaling hindi siya makabayad sa 1 taon, ang farmers cooperative or ang samahan ng mga magsasaka kung saan siya miyembro ang magbabayad muna para sa kanya. Pero may karapatan ng cooperative na singilin siya pagkatapos.